PR Connections Radio presents
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Cozy Up and Pay Attention, the Parent Edition, Season 2. And before I go any further, because today is going to be a little different for me, my outage is out in my neighborhood. So I am doing this show today from my cell phone. While I'm trying to talk to you, friends and people are sending me messages. So so as I keep doing this, understand that I'm pushing up whatever message is coming on my phone so I can see me and my guest. We have parents on today, a couple who is going to again let us know how they sacrificed, loved, and gave to their children so we can all have other responsible adults in this world. So if you will, take a deep breath and let it out, and we'll be right back.
Cozy Stone is a multi-talented comedian extraordinaire who has a real lust for life. She also combines humor and motivation, where she is known as a humorvational speaker. Her youthful ways and positive light make her a beacon for those of all ages. Cozy has lived a remarkable life that has paved the way for so many. She had the longest running open mic venue of 11 years at Tommy Rockers in Vegas, called Cozy's Comedy Corner, through which she introduced many up-and-coming comedians. Before going into comedy, she was one of the first female personal trainers and one of the top fitness trainers in the world. She has trained many greats such as Billie Jean King, Roberta Flack, Andrew Young, Ed Bradley, CCH Pounder, Al Pacino, and Earl Monroe. As a former competitive bodybuilder, she also owned a bodybuilding gym for women over 40 in Los Angeles for several years. She has worked in top positions for HBO, Playboy, and Tony Robbins. She also enjoys volunteer work, dedicating time to the New York Foundling Hospital and babies with AIDS. Cozy Stone has a message that shouldn't be missed.
Oh, Dana, I'm still laughing at this cell phone. If you would kindly bring me Christine and Mark McCloone, my parents for today.
Hello.
Hello, handsome people. How are you?
Hi, we're great. How are you?
Hello.
Well, you know how I'm doing with this doggone phone. And
Thanks
so
for
the other
having
part of
us.
it is, in order for you to hear, I have to tap. So again, folks, I'll be pointing my finger in your face, and for that, I have no excuse, and I'm not saying I'm sorry. My outage went out, and there's nothing I can do about it. So we're going to make the best out of a wonderful situation is what we're going to do. And what I like to say to my audience every week, we know that there's no such thing as a perfect parent. There are plenty of books on the shelf, but what you should teach and what you practice with your own children is in your home. The other part that I love to say every week is that this show has nothing at all to do with parent shaming. If we should say something on this show that pertains to you, well, poo-poo to you that you do this. We don't know you, so don't take it personal. What I'd like to do with my guest is to give a background so the audience has an idea of where you came from, what was given to you, and what you were given so you were able to continue to give. So I'm going to take the lady first. I'm going to take Christine first. Christine, can you tell us where were your parents born, uh, raised pretty much? Where did they meet? And how old was your mom when she had her first child?
Thank you. My parents are both from the Detroit area. They were both born and mostly raised up until their late teens outside of Detroit. They moved to Las Vegas. My dad moved here in the 60s and my mom moved here in the 70s. And they met here in Las Vegas and they met at church actually. And shortly after meeting, they got married because they wanted to, have fun, but they wanted to save themselves for marriage. And then my mom had me when she was 21. So they got married when she was about 20, and I came along right after.
Okay. So they weren't just praying, were they? Ah, but they were. Oh, they were talking to God. Okay, so Mark, give us a little bit of your background, please.
So my parents were born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, suburbs of Cleveland, and they met, I believe, in high school. And my mom and dad had me when my mom was 28, my dad was 30. And then I think I lived with my mom and dad for about 8 years, and then I got divorced. So, and then I moved out to Vegas and lived with my dad for the remainder of my childhood.
Okay. So now we'll talk about you two. How we'll take Christine again first. Where did you meet? And when you met Mark, did you have an idea that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with him? Was it his beauty, his body, or his brawn that attracted you to this handsome man?
So Mark and I met when I was 18 years old. I had just graduated from high school, and we met through a mutual friend. And it wasn't Mark's beauty, brawn, or brains. It was his dance moves that attracted me. So, and we spent an evening together. We were kind of wild as teenagers, and a friend snuck us into a bar, and we danced all night. Not together, but we danced all night. And then at the end of the evening, he and I finally started talking, and I did feel a connection to him. And then when we were driving home, he laid his head on my lap, and I felt like I had known him forever, and it was just very comfortable. And we've been together ever since.
Ooh, okay, so that answers, you answered one question for both of you. So Mark, while she was watching you swing your hips, was it her beauty, her brawn, or her brains, or her lap that attracted you to her?
It really was her beauty. I mean, and her personality that I was attracted to. I was actually had the hots for her friend at the time, and she happened to be there, and so it was like I had to do a double take and go, okay, I don't like this other girl anymore. I like Christine. And
once he started talking to me, it was over.
Yeah, and she just had a great personality, and she looked great. She still does look great.
She does.
Yeah, so I think it was more her beauty that attracted me to her, and then once I got to know her, it was just awesome.
So how long did you date before you got married?
Do you know?
2 years?
Yeah.
About 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, she's giving you that wife question. Do you know? Okay, so you got married, wonderful out partying. Everybody's dream to go to a bar and meet their perfect husband, but it happened for you too. So you're now married and you planned your family. Is that correct?
We did. So we had a pretty rocky first 2 years of marriage. It was actually pretty awful. And he and I both decided that something had to change in our lives. And we gave our lives to God and found a church and started going there faithfully. And once things were good between us, we decided it was, let's give this parenting thing a shot. So we did try. And our first try, we got pregnant with our daughter Julia.
Okay, and for both of you to answer, did you, Christine, and you, Mark, as young people, did you want to grow up to be married and plan a family?
I did. I wanted to grow up and be married because, like I said earlier, I had a divorced mom and dad, and I just love to play. I'm a big kid at heart, and I just loved having kids, and I loved playing with them. So I've always wanted that, and that's what we did. And it wasn't a big surprise. It was like, yes, we're going to have some kids, and we're going to just love them. So I think that's kind of the way I looked at it.
Well, for me, when I was a young teenager, keep in mind we've been together since I was 18. I always thought I was going to have this big shot career, and motherhood wasn't a big thought in my mind at all when I was a young teenager. But then when I fell in love, and then when we got married, it just was natural. It was the natural next step. I chose to be a stay-at-home mom and help my husband with our business. And I chose, it was a very conscious and deliberate choice to not pursue a career anymore, but to be a homemaker. And let me tell you, it was hard. I always felt like it was kind of, beneath me, if I could be so honest. And now looking back, I am so thankful for the life that I chose to be a homemaker, to be a wife, and to be a mother. It was the most fulfilling career I could have ever chose.
Wow, I had chill bumps. And what I do as I ask these questions, I like to wrap it around so it makes sense. You met, you were attracted to one another. It was almost instant kismet. Even though you were different, you were the same. And together with God's putting you together as well, you were on the same plane. You wanted the same thing for each other as well as your family. So I like to ask females, you were married, you're going to have kids, you planned your pregnancy. Even with that, when you were told you were pregnant, Christine, was there fear or fantasy that ran through your head? Especially since you just said, I really didn't grow up being a girly girl, want baby. How did you feel?
So we had planned it. So I wasn't super shocked, and I had never been late before. So I took the test, and there were 2 lines, and it was like, all right, here we go. Here we go. And
go ahead.
I called my best friend. I told my best friend first, and I waited for Mark to come home from work, and I showed him the pregnancy test, and he wasn't sure exactly what he was looking at. And I said, We're pregnant. We're going to have baby.
So even when you're planning, this is most people, even when you're planning and you look at that stick and it says, there has to be even if it's 5 seconds of saying, oh, shucks.
It was like fear, of course. I think it was just a combination of both.
Yes. It was scary.
Yeah. But I wasn't like terrified. I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah. Right. And again, when it's planned, there is less fear. I think younger women is more fantasy because they think of having this little baby, and we're going to buy all pink, and we're going to buy all blue, and we're going to dress it in bow ribbons and that kind of thing, and that's not real. But to be married, mature, and planning it, of course, it's surprising because now this baby is really getting ready to grow inside of you. You're getting ready to have to plan to again be responsible for another human being's life. So you just told me one is Cleveland, one is Detroit. Here comes the finger.
I'm from Las Vegas. I'm a native to Las Vegas, but my parents are from Detroit.
Okay. And Mark, you're a native.
I was born in Cleveland, and I came out here when I was to Vegas when I was 15. Yeah. So
now I'm just to say you came from different backgrounds, still different sides of the world, and you're under one roof. You're married, you're getting used to one another. As you just said, the first 2 years were a little rocky. So now the rocks are gone. You've got a clear path going on here. You're raising your child. What are some of the lessons that you got from your parents that you either wanted to instill in your children or you didn't?
Right off the bat, my parents got divorced. They started off on the right track and couldn't make it work. And they got divorced when I was 4. And Mark and I decided, we made a conscious and deliberate choice that we were not going to get divorced. We were going to stick it out no matter what. So I think that was the number one thing that we chose and decided to do opposite of our parents.
Yeah. And for me, practically, I learned how to be very organized from my mom. I learned how to keep things clean. She was very structured. She was very administrative, I guess. My dad was more, just a lead. My dad was a leader, so I learned how to be a leader from him. I learned how to lead people. I think I could probably say some things that are, not so well. But go ahead.
So that leads me into my next question, and this is for you, Mark. Tell me one or two things that your dad said to you that I call words of wisdom, that you have passed on to your children, and one day you will hear them probably saying those same words to their children.
Gosh, I just think was led by him just by watching him more than
Okay.
being led by him through his words.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
His dad taught him very useful things, like how to change the oil in a car, very, very man dad type things that are very useful.
Yeah.
All right. So let me, when you say that, my guest last week, her dad taught her how to change the oil. Her dad taught her how to change the tire. Her dad taught her, which are not manly things. That was the old thinking. Her dad gave her all of that. And the other thing that she said, which made me smile when you said it, she and her husband made a vow that divorce is not an option, and they've been together 44 years.
That's awesome.
So this is my second week that
Yeah.
I have parents, a couple that are saying no, and I just love hearing that. And here's 2 weeks in a row. I hope someone will hear this and say, why don't we start off that way?
Yeah.
I think it's a heck of an end goal, right?
It's worth it.
Right.
And, you're setting yourself up for success if you decide to get married and plan things out. I think you're going to be very successful if you do it that way. Yeah.
But and as you know, and as you've stated so clearly, it was rocky. It's not always going to be smooth sailing. But what do we take it? Where do we want to take that? Do we want to just drop it and walk away? We've got kids to raise. So let's get into your questions. Your first question, and you can, Christine first, and then Mark. What made you a successful parent?
What made me a successful parent, I believe, was that I modeled the way I wanted my children to be. I didn't do anything that I wouldn't want them to do, except for I do enjoy some wine. Okay. I do. Yeah. So, but as far as if I'm wrong, and there's been plenty of times when I've been wrong and my children have said, hey mom, that's not right, or that's not cool. And I've had to ask for forgiveness. And then also in our home, one of our core values is that everybody has an equal voice. So whenever my children came to me with something, they were listened to, they were heard. And I feel like because of that, they're confident young women today that are not afraid to speak their minds.
Good. Mark, so let's give you the next question. Explain an unexpected challenge.
So when we first had Julia, she was our first daughter. She was very colicky and cried a lot. And I think just right out of the gate, it was like, oh my gosh, we have this beautiful daughter here that we have to take care of. And I'm, running a company, and I'm coming home and she's like, please take this child and hold her and help me, and I'm exhausted. And just the shock of not knowing what it's going to be like as soon as you bring her home,
That's right. That's right.
Unbelievable.
And
That's exactly.
Can I answer this question too?
Sure.
Something that I didn't expect was how hard my pregnancies were going to be. I had really difficult pregnancies. My mom had Bree's pregnancies, so I thought I was going to have Bree's pregnancies too. And after Julia was born, surprise, surprise, 6 months later, we got pregnant again. And we lost that baby. No, that baby, our baby was stillborn. And I'm telling you, I did not expect that. And then once we got the clearance from the doctor, I got pregnant again, and then we had a miscarriage. So I was not expecting the heartbreak that also can come with motherhood.
Yeah.
And then thankfully, and praise the Lord, we had our last daughter, and her name is Caroline, and she was healthy and beautiful. But it was 4 years of of heartache and unknowing and guilt and dealing with all of the emotions and the feelings that come up with losing a baby. And I lost 2 of them back to back. So that was something that was really unexpected for me.
And thank you, because one of the things that I also like to state and impress is not only when you get pregnant, you may lose your baby, but you may not get a healthy baby. And I've had parents on here with children of disabled children and challenges. Something else to think about, young people or whomever's having unprotected sex and not understanding the ramifications and the responsibility, sometimes the disappointment that goes along with having a kid that you're not ready to take care of, and not understanding that kid may not come to full term. Right?
Yeah.
And I do like you both answering questions, so let's do this again. The next question is 3 disciplines you enforced, and I wrote eating, hygiene, bed hours, cell, computer. Christine, take it away.
So we were very not rigid, but we had a routine that we followed, and homework was very important. Bedtimes were very important, and chores were very important. So we instilled this a regular bedtime from the time they were born. You know, they were not going to sleep in our same bed. We also prioritize our marriage over our children. So them going to bed at a specific time every night was important so that Mark and I could have time together alone. And we did that every single night, and we still do that every single night.
Mark, is there anything you want to add? Did she cover them all, or?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, from a parenting standpoint, I think it's just really, really important for any new parent to know that you have to be a united front as a father and a mother, meaning you can't let your kids play one against the other. You guys have to both be on the same page and both be saying the same thing. Don't confuse your kids. And if you do that, your kids are going to be respected. They're going to respect you. They're going to be really, really encouraged to want to grow up and you know, be great people.
And right out of the gate, our kids never tried to play us against each other, because we made it perfectly clear that that was not an option for them.
Yeah.
So you say what you mean and mean what you say.
100%.
The other thing you just said that is so important, and that's why I love this show, is you do not forget about you two just because you have another you too.
Yeah.
That's how some, you know, again, I never sit on this show and claim to be a professor of all, but I've been around for a while, and I've watched, I've paid attention, and people very readily allow their children to come between them.
Yeah.
Right? Someone gets it. Go ahead.
No, I just don't let your children sleep in your bed. Make sure they sleep in their own crib. And that's just a really basic thing, but man, that makes all the difference. Yeah.
And the fact that you have a definitive bedtime. My mother did that. There was a joke in my family growing up that we didn't know that the sun went down. And what that meant is that's how early she put us to bed.
Yeah.
And it took me once I found out after I became older to understand that she had time for herself.
Yeah.
I put them to bed, and she was a single mom raising us, and she took time. She read. I mean, I don't know what she did, but we didn't know we were going to bed before the sun went down. I'm sure we had a bedtime. I know we had a bedtime. We ate dinner at the same time every day. She read. But it's not about me. The next question is, Christine, what was, and you get one, what was the favorite year of enjoying your child, and why?
So I have to say probably 18. And maybe that's a surprise. And the reason why is because they have matured enough to where, and they have the life skills /enough to where we can start developing a friendship. And it's not just me as their mom, it's now me as their friend mom, their friend/mom. So I know that's a long time, and maybe it's like, oh, that's the end of the road. I've enjoyed every year with them, but I especially have enjoyed them as young adults.
And Mark?
So I think that around age 5 was a great year for both of them, because they are so impressionable, and I learned at a young age that I need to really pour into them and tell them they're beautiful and smart and creative, and they can do it. And I just love to play. So like I said earlier, so I 4 or 5 years old, we played, and those were great years.
And those were Daddy's little girls, weren't they?
Yes, for sure.
Yes. That's wonderful. Wonderful. And Christine, you're right. Not only do you start a friendship, these are friends for the rest of your life now.
Yeah.
Right? And I had that too. So I love that. So your next question is, what C word did you practice the most? And my selection is, did you practice choices? Did you practice consequences? Did you practice consistency? Did you practice compassion? Christine, first.
100% consistency. We like the bedtime, the routine. They knew what to expect every day, and knowing what they could expect, I believe, made them feel like they were in a safe environment, and it allowed them to focus on things that were important. They didn't have to worry about if they were what time dinner was, or they just knew. They knew that they were safe. They knew this is the way it was, and then that allowed them to mature and grow in their different giftings.
Wow, you're making me reflect so much on my own upbringing. And Mark, which C word for you?
Yeah, I have to kind of agree with consistency. We're business owners, so just like from a very young age, it was like you come home and you do your homework. And Christine made sure that was very consistent. And by the time they were in first, second grade, they knew. They come home, they do their homework, and that's how it needs to be. And that's the way it was from first grade, kindergarten, all the way up until college, that they got to get their homework done. And it just gave them a sense of security, knowing that this is the way we do it, and it's going to work out well if I do it this way. And they just followed that suit.
And as a person, again, I'm smiling and thinking, I guess that would be the word I would pick for my mother, because, and here's what happens for me. Not only was she consistent, it instills discipline.
Yeah.
It instilled discipline, and I'm still that disciplined person to this day. And I never thought about it until you two were bringing up my childhood. Thank you very much. And what I was given, I know I'm grateful. I always talk about how grateful and how wonderful a job she did, and I mean that from my heart. But as this is the first time I'm asking questions, and your feedback is getting into my psyche, saying, "Oh my God, that's what she did." She just, we knew you come in the house, you take and this is my time. You take your school clothes off. There was a difference when I was growing up. You take your school clothes off. You immediately do your homework. You can't go out to play before you do your homework. In wintertime, the sun goes down, so you're not out that long. It was the bedtime. It had an hour. The dinner time, 5 o'clock. It was the consistency, and there's a lot of comfort and safety in that consistency.
That's right.
All right. So before we move to the fun questions, we have a couple who met by Mark moving his hips. Let that be known. That because he moved his hips so well, he met the woman of his life, even though he wanted a girl, thought he was going out for a girlfriend. They got together. They found God, and in their life, He provided them with love, family, happiness, and a unit that has survived. And has allowed them to produce 2 responsible adults who I have no doubt will someday give you little ones that you can then let them say all this stuff.
We'll spoil the grandchildren.
Oh, of course you will spoil the grandchildren, which I think is another show I don't want to do. Do not spoil those grandchildren, doggone it. If your daughter says they can't, you say they can't. Don't try to be that loving.
Fair enough.
Okay. Cozy said.
That's right. Don't you dare. Yeah, I see it all the time. I see it all the time, and I think it's awful. It's just, Anyway, let's get to your fun question. Christine's fun question is, I get to turn the page. It's the first time I didn't have to turn my page. So Christine's question is, if you could shop free at one store, and I have to put in there, for the rest of your life, what store would you choose?
Listen, I'm very practical. It would be Sam's Club. You can get everything you need there in one place, right? I'm thinking practically here.
Okay. It's your answer.
Okay.
And I'd love to say to my guests, and only once did you try to verify what you thought. And people get on here something, and sometimes they'll say, well, in my opinion, I have to stop them and say, this is your show. Right? This is your show.
Sure.
We don't care what anybody else thinks. If they want to tell me what they think, then they can be my guest. But this is not a show. And if there's anyone out there saying, well, I wouldn't, that's your business. Christine wants to go to Sam's Club, and we're going to let Christine enjoy her decision. So Mark's question is, what personal trait has gotten you in the most trouble, Mark?
So I just want to thank God for saving me all those years ago and my Lord Jesus Christ, because I have an anger issue, and I've been working on that for many, many years. And so if everyone wants to look at this podcast and think that we have it all together, we definitely do not. Mm-hmm. And so God's just been changing me and transforming me. And my anger has definitely gotten me into a lot of trouble over the years. Okay. And she's been very forgiving and stuck with me through all that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be real. That's kind of what I've been dealing with, and I'm still working on it. So it's good.
Good for you. And we're all works in progress. If there's anyone out there that thinks they're perfect, please don't call me. I don't want you on my show, because we know who the perfect one is, and I believe in the man upstairs as well as you do. This has been so. Was this as enjoyable as you thought it would be?
Yeah, yes. This is wonderful.
Thank you for having us.
We are really thankful.
Thank you. As I said, the fact that Mark volunteered, he was in the room and he heard about it, he said, I want to. And he asked when yesterday and where's the link. I mean, you guys were just wonderful in your follow-up, in your anticipation, in being early. You're the first couple. I want you to know you're the first couple. Because that time is usually me in Dana's time, by the way, so you and Kurt, no, so it was good. So we were able to get some other things out of the way. Every one of us, human beings, can learn from one another. And what I love saying at the end of each show, first of all, before I even go there, I want to thank you. I also want to encourage you to go to Amazon. I forgot. I'm smaller. Don't ask. No, I'm going to get silly. Amazon, Cozyisms, The Art of Paying Attention. There are one-liners, witticism in here. There's great art from two different artists. It's put on your living room table, put in your bathroom, doesn't matter. You will laugh at some, you will frown at others, and you will say, a lot. It's another way of seeing how sick I am, Mark. Yeah, but I'm very proud of, again, self-published author. Go to Amazon, please, and help support my book sales. Thank you. Thank you,
Cozy.
Thank you.
Every one of us can stand to learn something from one another. And I believe, because it's my show, and I believe that when we know better, we do better.
Yeah.
So I want to wish you both a wonderful evening. And again, when I'm back out and about, Christine, I would love to meet you face to face.
That'd be wonderful.
Please continue. I don't think I have to tell you this. Continue to take care of one another. Continue to love one another. Continue to grow and understand one another. I think you're an awesome couple, and you've definitely given me more chill bumps almost than I think anybody else that's been on the show so far.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice. Very nice of you.
You brought my mother into this interview, and it really is a first. I don't blow smoke. And by the way, ask anybody. Continue to have a great afternoon, and sit still for a moment. We will end this show.
Thank you.